All organisms that have life in them, they carry out some processes that are very important for their survival. And those processes are called life processes. Welcome everybody to this new lesson that we are going to learn together, life processes. Let's get in it. Have you ever wondered how a small baby becomes an adult, but the size of your phone remains the same throughout your life? Or even the size of the chair you're sitting in, it remains the same. That is what makes living things and non-living things different from each other. Living things grow, they respire, they breathe, and they move, whereas non-living things have none of these functions. You must think plants do not move, so are they non-living things? Well, no. Plants move too. Have you ever seen touch me not plant? When you touch it, it closes, and we are not touching it, it remains open. So yes, plants move too. Now, all the living organisms, they are made up of cells. Just like you have seen a building being built, they are built by blocks of cement, right? Or bricks, right? And one brick on top of other, and like that, the whole house is made, right? Same way, even our body, they are made up of cells. You can see here, I've given the, picture of a cell. Okay, so our bodies are made up of cells, and many cells together form tissues. Here, different type of tissues you can see. And many tissues together form an organ system. Now, to maintain all these organs, to maintain all these cells, our body has some processes going on. Even now, even when you're sleeping, even when you feel like you're just sitting and listening to teacher, but still these processes are going on in your body. Okay, so to maintain our life, to survive, to repair our body, these functions are really important. Okay, and so these functions that help in maintaining our life are called life processes, and all living organisms perform these, whether it be unicellular organism, for example amoeba, or it be a multicellular organism, for example humans or plants. So, first of all, what is unicellular? You must already know that unicellular means containing one cell. Those organisms that have only one cell are called unicellular organisms. Many bacteria also have only one cell. And multicellular are those organisms that have multiple cells, many cells. Like our bodies are made up of thousands and millions of cells. Even plants have they are multicellular organisms. Okay. So now let's look at the life processes that a body carries out. Okay, there are different types of life processes that a body carries out. Let's look at them. Okay. In your chapter life processes, in class 10, you learn about nutrition, digestion, respiration, and excretion. These four are the important life processes that you will be learning in this chapter in detail. But for now, we will just look at them in short. First of all, what is nutrition? Nutrition, as you can see, this person is eating food, so it means obtaining food. Okay, eating food and using it in your body, that is nutrition. Okay, so let me just make you write it down. Next, what is digestion? Digestion means breaking down of food into simple molecules and using them in our body. See, our body cannot use the food that we eat directly. It breaks it down into simple things and then it uses it. Okay, so breaking down of food is called digestion. Now, what is respiration? For now, in short, what you need to learn is respiration means taking in oxygen and giving out carbon dioxide. It has much more meaning, okay, if you study it in depth. But for now, we'll just look at it as taking in oxygen in our body and giving out carbon dioxide. All right, CO2. Okay. But plants, right, they do vice versa. What do? They take in carbon dioxide, they use carbon dioxide, and they give us oxygen, right? That is why we should not cut plants. Now, last but not the least is excretion. What is excretion? It is the removal of waste from our body, the unwanted material, the unwanted matter being removed from our body is called excretion. So now we know what are these, right? In short, now we will learn what is nutrition. Okay, we'll learn about nutrition in detail. Okay, now sometimes we just think nutrition means eating food, but that's not it. Nutrition means obtaining food and using it in our body to gain energy, to repair the cells in our body, for growth and for development. Okay, that means you have to remember that it's not just eating food, but it also means utilizing the food in our body, using it for gaining energy, right? So the importance of nutrition is to gain energy for growth and development and to repair the damaged tissues in our cells. Just like a car needs maintenance from time to time, sometimes because of the wear and tear of the tire or whatever it is, same way even our body needs repair. Okay, and that is done by the cells in our body, by when we eat properly, when we eat healthy, and that food is being used in our body. That is why it is very important to eat healthy, a balanced diet, right? The diet should contain everything. Now, let's look at the types of nutrition. Basically, there are two types of nutrition: autotrophic and and heterotrophic. Autotrophic nutrition and heterotrophic nutrition. So, what does autotrophic mean? Auto, the word itself, automatic. This means that those organisms that can produce their own food by themselves, they make their own food by themselves, okay? And heterotrophic means those organisms that cannot make their own food, but they obtain their food by eating others, other organisms or plants and animals. Okay, they obtain their food from others. Okay, so autotrophic, the example are plants, right? Plants make their own food, right? So autotrophic nutrition example is plants, and heterotrophic is we humans, right? Humans, animals, we obtain our food from others. Like, you must think that no, we make our food by ourselves only, but where are we getting that food from? Are we producing it in our body? No, we cannot produce it. So that is why we are heterotrophic. We follow heterotrophic mode of nutrition. And those that carry out autotrophic nutrition, that means those that make their own food, they are called autotrophs. Okay. Now, autotrophs can be further divided into two types, that is photosynthetic and chemical. And heterotrophic can be divided into three parts, subdivision. Okay. Holozoic nutrition, saprotrophic, and parasitic. We will learn about each of them in detail. But for now, we'll learn about photosynthetic autotrophic nutrition. Let's get started. Okay, now since we were young, we learned what is photosynthesis, right? I'll just give you a revision of it. So, what is photosynthesis? Green plants make their own food, only green plants, okay? So, green plants make their own food in the presence of sunlight, okay? And chlorophyll. What is chlorophyll? It is the green pigmentation of the plants, okay? Chlorophyll gives green pigments to the plants, and that only helps them to produce their own food. We cannot produce our own food because we do not have chlorophyll. Plants, they don't have chlorophyll. For example, mushroom. It is not green in color, right? It is white or other colors. So it cannot produce its own food. Okay. Only green plants that have chlorophyll in them, they produce their own food in the presence of sunlight, and they require carbon dioxide and water and other molecules, other minerals, sorry. They use these to give us oxygen and glucose. Glucose is the food that is being prepared by the plants. Okay. So first I'll make you write down what is photosynthesis. So what is photosynthesis? Green plants, they take sunlight, they take water, they take carbon dioxide, they take all the minerals from the soil, whatever is required, and they give us oxygen and they make food in the form of glucose, right? So that is photosynthesis. Okay. Let me make you write down what is photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the process by which green plants make their own food in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. By using carbon dioxide, I'm writing short form, you can write full, water and other minerals. And what do they give us? They give us oxygen and glucose. Okay. Now see, one very important thing is that leaf is the kitchen of the plants. Okay. Just like we cook our food in kitchen, plants cook their food in the leaves. And what are the ingredients? Water, carbon dioxide, other minerals in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. Okay, now see, the food that is glucose, right? We know the food that is produced by plant is glucose. You know what is it stored as plants as? It is not stored as glucose. So glucose is stored in the form of starch in plants. Okay. And in humans, this is the glucose is stored as glycogen. This is very important as it has come in many exams as 1 mark question. Both of them, please learn it properly. Okay. Now let's learn about the process of photosynthesis more. Now, as I've already told you, plants use carbon dioxide, they use water, they use light energy from the sun in the presence of chlorophyll. They give us glucose that is stored in the form of starch in plants, and they give us oxygen. Please remember to remember it as balanced only, because your teachers can cut your marks in your board exams if you don't write it balanced. Okay. And this is very important reaction as it has come in the exams. Okay. Please learn this and mark it as important. Okay. Now, see, photosynthesis in this process what happens is the light energy that is taken from the sun, it is converted and stored as chemical energy. See, light energy is taken by chlorophyll, okay? It is absorbed by chlorophyll. Chlorophyll captures the sunlight. What does chlorophyll do? Chlorophyll captures sunlight. And the light energy is then converted to chemical energy. Now, this chemical energy, what does it do? It breaks down water. It breaks down the molecules of water, that is H2O, right, into H and O. That means hydrogen and oxygen, okay? And then the carbon dioxide that you see here, it is converted to carbohydrate, okay? It is converted to carbohydrate. So these 4 points are very important, and the second and third point can be written as 1 point, because only when the light energy is captured by the chlorophyll, the light energy is converted to chemical energy, and that chemical energy converts, it breaks down hydrogen and water from the water molecules, okay? Because H2O, right? So it breaks down into H and O, okay? Hydrogen and water. I hope this is clear. Let's stomatal pores, okay? Now let's look what are stomatal pores. Like we were learning, right? The carbon dioxide is taken in, oxygen is given out, water is absorbed. All those things, all those functions are taken place by the help of stomata. What are stomata? Stomatas are the tiny openings on the surface of the leaves, okay? And they help in exchange of gases. They help in taking in carbon dioxide, giving out oxygen, okay? And also they help in the water exchange, okay? See, stomata are the tiny openings on the surface of the leaves. Now, what is the main function of stomata? What are the main functions of stomata? First is transpiration. What is transpiration? The loss of excess water. Okay, in the form of water vapor. When the plant has too much of water, no, it will lose water in the form of water vapor. Okay, because too much is not required. Only how much requirement is there, that much only they'll keep it, and the rest it will be given out in the form of water vapor. Exchange of gases, that means O2 and CO2, are exchanged with the help of stomatas. Now see, guard cells regulate the opening and closing of stomata. See, just like in house, if there is a guard, what happens? He will not allow anyone to just enter. If it's a thief, will he say, please come and rob me? No. He will not allow those people to come out whom he thinks, okay, shouldn't be allowed. So same with these guard cells also, they help in, regulating when to open the stomata and when to close the stomata. Whenever there is a requirement of water and water is there, it will open. So when the stomata open, when it feels like, okay, there is no carbon dioxide, we need more carbon dioxide, so it opens. And when it has gained how much it requires, it will close. Okay, even in the presence of sunlight, it opens. Okay, so guard cells, they regulate the opening and closing of stomata, so that helps. Like if it is too dry, if it is too hot, like in desert area, it will help to keep the stomata closed, because if it opens, all the water, will be gone. That is why. Okay. See, here it is open, so it will absorb water. It will absorb CO2. Okay. And here it's closed. Here it is closed. Okay. See, which are guard cells? These two are the guard cells. They help open and close the stomata. They regulate it. Okay. And where is stomata present? Stomata is present here in the middle. Okay. Please remember this diagram as it can come for your exams, board exams. Okay. Okay. Now we'll go to the next topic. That is photosynthesis in desert plant. Just like I told you, you do not need to go in depth here because it will not come in your exam. But you have to remember that in desert, there is shortage of water. And because there is shortage of water, the plants have adapted to that atmosphere. Okay. The thorns and plants that you see, they're actually leaves that have been transformed into thorns, spikes type of things so that they prevent water loss. Okay. That is the adaptation that they have taken place. Okay. So in daytime, the stomata remains closed in order to prevent water loss. Okay. But at night, it opens, it takes CO2, it takes everything that is required. So that is what you have to remember, that during the day, the stomata is closed in order to prevent water loss. And during the night, CO2 and the stomata is open, so CO2 is absorbed. And that is what is required for you to know till here. Now we'll be moving to our next topic, that chemosynthetic autotrophic nutrition. That means the synthesis that is done by the chemicals. But before we go to this topic, let's just do few questions. Number one, autotrophic organisms include, what do they include? See, plants which are not green in color will not do photosynthesis. And autotrophic means those that produce their food automatically by themselves. So here we know that not only all green plants, but also some bacteria, they perform autotrophic nutrition. Okay. Bacteria also have some bacteria also autotrophic, so they perform photosynthesis. Once we did number one question, let's go to the next one. Closing and opening of stomata is due to, see, I told you that, okay, even for carbon dioxide, even when the sunlight is there, it senses that and it opens. But that is not the main thing. Okay. Actually, it opens when there is, water is coming in or out. It's going out. That time, the stomata opens because we know that it will open, absorb, and if it's very dry outside, it will not open because if it opens, it will lose all the water, right? So the main thing, the main function is for the water. Okay. So the answer for this will be movement of water in and out of the guard cells. Let's go to the third question. You have to look at this diagram and answer it. Okay. Large amounts of water flows into the guard cells. Gaseous exchanges occurring in large amount. Large amount of water flows out from the guard cells. Large amount of sugar collects in the guard cells. What happens when the stomata opens? Like I told you, in desert, they keep it closed because when they open, what happens? The large amount of water will flow out from it. So the answer is numbers. So this is asked in CBSE 2023, and this one also is asked in CBSE only. Okay. So please pay attention to the types of question that has been asked. Now let's go to chemosynthetic autotrophic nutrition. What does this mean? The word itself, it has the word chemical in it. So chemical, this synthesis is done with the help of chemical. Okay. So one example that is very important and it has been asked in exam is that purple sulfur bacteria. Okay, this is the name of the bacteria that does that performs chemosynthetic autotrophic nutrition. That means it uses the chemicals. See, chemicals like NH4, that is ammonium ion, NO2, nitrate, NO3, all these are used to and they convert this to chemical energy, and that they use it as their food. Okay, it's not given in much detail. You just need to remember that the chemicals are they use the chemicals and they convert this into chemical energy, and that's how they obtain their food. And the example is purple sulfur bacteria, which is very important. Rather than that, if you need to remember anything, is that what are the chemicals used? The chemicals, for example, ammonium ion, okay, nitrate ion, all these only are used, okay, and nitrate. And now we will go to heterotrophic nutrition. In heterotrophic nutrition, we learn that these organisms can produce their own food. But here, heterotrophic nutrition, in these, the organisms cannot produce their own food. They depend on plants and animals for their food. Okay, so let's write it down. Cannot produce their own food. So what do? They depend on plants or other animals for food. And as I told you, there are three types of heterotrophic nutrition. Number one is holozoic nutrition. Number two is saprotrophic nutrition. And number three is parasitic nutrition. We will learn about each of them in detail. So now let's go to holozoic nutrition. Holozoic nutrition. See, we humans, we follow holozoic nutrition, so it will be very easy for you all to relate. What do? We take food. We take in food, okay? And then what it happens is it goes inside our body, and there it is broken down into simpler substances, right? We take in food inside our body, it is broken down into simpler substances, and then what happens? The food is absorbed by our body, and that gives us energy, right? So in holozoic nutrition also what happens, the organism may take solid or liquid food, whichever, and it goes inside the body and it is broken down inside the body. And then it is absorbed by the body and then they get energy. Okay. Now see, holozoic nutrition are classified into three types. Okay. That is herbivores or herbivores, carnivores or carnivorous nutrition, and omnivores or omnivorous. Now, we all know what are herbivores. Those animals that eat only plants, they are called as herbivores. For example, deer, cow, okay. And carnivores are those animals that eat the flesh or meat of other organisms. For example, tiger or lion. Omnivores are those organisms that eat both plants and animals. Okay. So even humans, we are omnivores. Okay. We eat both plants and animals. Got it? Can you give me a name of some other animals that eat both plants and animals? Dogs. They eat both plants and animals. Etc. Okay. So these are the examples of the organisms that eat both plants and animals, and they are called as omnivores. And those that eat only the flesh of other animals, they are called as carnivores. And those that eat plants, only green plants and leaves, they are called as herbivores. With this, let's go to our next topic. Okay, now we'll come to the next topic, that is heterotrophic nutrition. Now, what is this nutrition? In this nutrition, what happens is that the organisms, they feed on dead and decaying matter. The organisms, they feed on the matter that are already dead and they are decaying. And one thing very important in this nutrition is that they, you know, they, the food is, they absorb externally only. Okay, now we will go to the topic, that is saprotrophic nutrition. What is this nutrition? In this nutrition, the organisms, they get food by feeding on dead and decaying matter. The organisms, they eat the dead and decaying matter. And always remember, they digest the food externally. Okay, then they absorb the nutrients. The food materials are digested externally only. The thing that is dead and decayed, they are digested externally and they just eat it directly. They just eat it and absorb it, but the nutrients are digested already. Just they have to absorb it by eating it. Okay. So some examples will be fungi. Examples. Fungi. Like I told you, mushroom, it does not have chlorophyll. That means what does it do? This also follows saprotrophic nutrition. That means it eats the dead and decaying matter. Okay. The food that is already digested, it will absorb it. Okay. So mushrooms. Bread molds. Have you ever seen that if you keep bread for long period of time outside, then because of the moisture and the air, there will be some grayish things growing on it. So that is called bread mold. Okay. So these are the examples of the saprotrophic nutrition. One more you can give is yeast. With this, let's go to the next topic, that is parasitic nutrition. The last division of the heterotrophic nutrition that we are going to learn. That is parasitic nutrition. What is parasitic nutrition? In this nutrition, the organism will live on top or inside the body of other organism, of other living organisms, obtains food from that organism. Okay. What it will do, it will live on top of that organism. Okay. Or inside the body of that organism. It can even cause death. Okay. Of the living organism on whoever it is living. No, it can cause the death of that organism. For example, very common example is that lice. What do lice do? They sit on the scalp. Okay, they are living on the scalp of a human being, and from there they suck blood. They suck the blood of the person they are living on. Okay, now see, the person that they are living on is called the host, or the organism is called host. Okay. For example, one plant that is parasitic, which is very important and may be asked in your exam, is cuscuta. It is a plant and it is parasitic. That means it lives on top of other trees. It is yellowish in color and it is found all over the places. Like even in my city, it is found. So on top of plants or trees, it stays. Okay. And like suppose this is the tree. It will just be hanging like this. Okay. It will be hanging like this here. It will be like this. It will cover the whole plant. Okay, it will cover the whole plant. It is yellowish in color and it will absorb its nutrient from the host. That means from the plant or tree it is living on, it will absorb all the nutrients. And more examples, let's write lice. Okay. Tapeworm, have you seen a tapeworm? That is also an example of this only. Okay. Ticks, leech. Okay. All these are examples of parasitic nutrition. Now with this, we have finished the heterotrophic nutrition part. Now we will learn how digestion in amoeba takes place and how digestion in human beings takes place. Okay, so before we go to nutrition in amoeba, I want you to look at the pictures of these parasites. These parasites, I couldn't put it in the previous slides to show you, but I'm showing it to you so that you can keep it in your mind and recall it whenever it's asked in your exam. See, this is cascata. I told you it is yellowish in color, right? It is also called as a marble. So cascata is on top of a plant. See, this plant is the host. From this plant only, cascata will take its nutrition, will gain nutrition, okay, for itself. And this is the picture of lice, which is found on the heads of people, right? And it sucks blood. Now, the last is tick. In the previous slide, by mistakenly, I had written only TIC. I checked it. So please remember the spelling is TICKS. So these ticks are also parasites. And they all depend on the host for their nutrition. Okay. Moving on to the next is holozoic nutrition. We all know that holozoic nutrition is performed by human beings, animals, right? So what happens in holozoic nutrition? What happens to the food we eat? We all eat food, right? Does it directly get absorbed by our body? No. There are some steps that take place, and that is very important for us to learn. First of all, the number one thing is ingestion. What is ingestion? The word itself has in it. That means taking food inside the body through our mouth. Okay, the word itself has in it. In means what? Taking in. Taking in the food that we eat through our mouth, right? That is the first step of nutrition, and that is ingestion. Okay, we take food through our mouth. We take the food inside our body through our mouth. Second is digestion. I already told you, when the food is broken down from complex molecules to simpler ones, it is called digestion. Okay, because our body cannot absorb the food directly that is given. Like if there is protein, it cannot directly absorb protein. It will break protein into simplest things, and then it will get absorbed via in our body. Okay. Third is absorption. The food is broken down. So now what will happen? All the nutrients that will be absorbed by our body. In our, there are villi present, okay? And those help in absorption of food, okay? And obviously if food is absorbed, it will be absorbed. How? It will be absorbed into the bloodstream of our bodies, because obviously all that is that has to be used in our body, it will be mixed with the blood. Only then it will be able to be used in our body. Okay. So absorption is when the food is broken down, and that food that has been broken down is being absorbed by our body into the bloodstream through the walls of the intestine. That is called absorption. Fourth is assimilation. Now the absorbed food will be used for giving energy, for growth, for repair of our body. So that is assimilation. That means the absorbed food is being used. Okay. And last is egestion. Egestion means throwing the waste out of our body. Okay. All the unwanted waste that is not required by our body is thrown out of the body through the anus. Because everything that we eat is not required by our body. See, you eat so many junk foods in a day, right? You eat lots of things that are unhealthy. So what would happen if everything would be absorbed by our body? that would have a bad effect, right? So those things that are not required by a body, extra things, extra waste, all the things that are not required, they are thrown out of our body through the anus. Now, as we were telling that we'll learn the digestion in amoeba, we will look at the nutrition of amoeba. How does it eat food? How does it absorb food? Okay. See, you can see the picture of the nutrition in amoeba. This diagram is really important. It has been asked by CBSE many times. It might come as 3 marks question. So please learn it. 3 marks, 2 marks, or even 5 marks. Okay. Not 5 marks exactly, 3 marks most probably. So see, we all know that amoeba is unicellular. That means it consists of only one cell. It does not have organs, specialized organs and all, okay? It is a simple, it has a very simple body, okay? It does not have different parts and all. It's not complex at all. So we'll look at it step by step. See, amoeba looks something like this. I'll draw it for you. Amoeba just looks like this. Okay? I can draw a better one. So, okay, it has a nucleus. Okay? It has a nucleus and it has pseudopodia. Pseudopodia. Okay, pseudopodia are also called as false feet. They help in capturing the food particles. See, if the food particle is here, okay, this is the food particle, some bacteria or anything, okay. What will happen? This pseudopodia will come out like this, okay, and it will close. And like that, the food will be taken inside the food vacuole. Food vacuole. Okay, it will be taken inside the food vacuole and there it will be digested and new food vacuoles will be formed. And this old food vacuole will again be ejected out of the body by, two of the body parts will come out like this. And then this will be ejected out of the body. Got it? I'll teach you again in the diagram. Just pay attention to it. See, we saw that it has a nucleus, right? Now, what happens whenever there is a food particle near it? The pseudopodia, that is the part of amoeba, okay, will come out, okay, which are also called as false feet. They'll come out like this. And then what happens? They'll close. See, can you see this food? This pseudopodia is closed. This is the food inside, okay? Now, this will be taken into the food vacuole where it will be digested. After it's digested and after it's absorbed by amoeba and after it is used for energy, the waste particle will be taken out. See, again pseudopodia has come out like this and it has been taken out. This is out and new food vacuole will be formed. Okay, so this is how nutrition in amoeba takes place. It is very important, so please keep in mind. Okay, now let's look how nutrition takes place in human beings. Okay, see here, I'll just tell you in short first. Through the mouth, ingestion is done. That means food is taken inside the body through the mouth. Here, the saliva will mix with the food, okay? And then through the esophagus, the food will come down, okay? After it has come down, it will reach the stomach. In stomach, other acids are also present which will break down the food. Then from stomach, it will be transferred to small intestine. There will be further breakdown of food in small intestine. And here only, whatever is not required will be sent to the large intestine. Large intestine will absorb all the excess water, Okay, if there is any water that can be used, it will absorb it and it will send it to the rectum, where the waste particles will be stored and later it will come out through the anus. Now, in the small intestine also, there will be some chemicals that will act on the food and it will completely digest it. And then it will be absorbed by the walls of the intestine. Okay, and it will reach through the bloodstream and it will reach to the whole body parts. Okay, and that's how nutrition in human beings takes place. Now, what are the types and organs involved? There are two types about which we'll be studying in this chapter. Now see, there are two types. One is alimentary canal and the second is accessory organs. See, what is alimentary canal and what is accessory organs? The word itself, assist, means to help, right? Or to be able to use it. So here what happens, organs that help in digestion, no? Those are accessory organs, but the food does not pass in them. Okay, they help in digestion, but the food is not passed through them. But alimentary canal is like a long hollow tube which contains organs. Okay, it contains organs, and through this only the food actually passes. For example, from the mouth it passes through esophagus, then it passes to stomach, then it passes to small, and then to large. So all these are what? These are these are included in alimentary canal. These are the organs through which the food actually passes. But what are accessory organs? They only help in digestion, but through them food is not passed. For example, liver, pancreas, etc. Okay, because through liver the bile juice will come, through pancreas juices will come that help in digestion, that help in breaking down complex molecules, but the food is not passed through them. Okay, I'll make you write down what is the definition. What is alimentary canal? A hollow, long tube that contains all the organs through which food is actually passed. Okay, for example, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine. Okay, next, accessory organs. What are accessory organs? Like I told you, these organs help in digestion, but food does not pass through them. Example, number one is pancreas, number two is liver, and number three is salivary gland, etc. Okay, so in this video we are going to only discuss this much. The rest of the chapter will be discussed in the upcoming video. I want you all to please write down the notes when you are looking at the chapter. Please mark down the questions that I've told you. And if you liked the video, please share, like, subscribe to the channel. Also, share it with your friends. As you know, it might help them. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.